Well, welcome. We have some breaking news. We've just had an M4 flare on the northeast limb of the sun, and I'm going to show you some of the data from that event right now. This is the second largest flare of solar cycle 25 so far. The last one was an M4.4 flare back last year. This event peaked at M3.9, and it was in the active region now designated 2822, which is currently on the northeast limb of the sun. It has probably been accompanied by a CME, but we don't have any data from that as yet. But it's unlikely to affect the Earth because it's too far east. Let's take some looks at the video of the event. First of all, where did it occur? As I said, it was on the northeast limb, and the best way of finding out where it occurred with respect to the sunspots is to look at the SDO AIA 1700 angstrom channel. Even then, it's hard to see because the region is close to the limb and there's a great deal of foreshortening going on. By looking at just the helium-2 304 channel, we can see that it's a very dynamic region. Note when you look at the movie that there are prominences both to the north and the south, and they're very, very dynamic. They're moving around all the time. There's also lots of small ejector events in the heart of the region itself. The helium-2 line is a intermediate transition region line. Now we're going to look at somewhat hotter temperatures in the lower corona and in the corona itself. Now in these lines, you should be able to see at the time of the flare a huge shock wave propagate out from the flare site itself. And this gives you the hint that there's going to be a coronal mass ejection associated with that. Although at this time of doing this video, I didn't have any data to indicate whether there was one, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be one. So we'll start with the lowest temperature of these lines, which is the AIA 171 angstrom channel, which is an iron 9 with a typical temperature of about 630,000 degrees Kelvin. The next hottest line we have is 193 angstroms, that's an iron 12 line, and is about 1.2 million degrees Kelvin. Next highest again is the 211 angstrom channel. That's an iron 14 channel at about 2 million degrees Kelvin. And the hottest of these lines is the AIA 335 angstrom channel. That's an iron 16 channel at about 2.5 million degrees Kelvin. And that temperature corresponds approximately to that of the active regions above sunspots. No video about flares will be complete without the highest temperature lines available, and we have two such lines here. The AIA 94 angstrom channel, which is an iron 18 channel with a temperature of about 6.3 million degrees Kelvin. and the 131 angstrom channel, which is an iron 20 line with a typical temperature of about 10 million degrees Kelvin. Well, while I was futzing around with this video trying to get my speakers to work properly, we did get some data in from the LASCO coronagraph, and indeed there was a large coronal mass ejection off the northeast limb. You can see a freeze frame of it here. So what can we conclude from all of this? Well, we've just had the second largest flare of solar cycle 25 so far, the second M flare in the last month, so it seems that activity is picking up. The northern hemisphere seems to be catching up with the southern hemisphere, so that's a promising sign for more activity in the future, and it indicates that solar cycle 25 is well underway. So until next time, goodbye.